Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Mohammed. I'm a core surgical trainee working in London, and this month is a pretty big month for me. Not only am I working 50 hours a week in quite a specialist unit in London in the realms of pediatric surgery, I'm also going to be fasting the month of Ramadan, which in London translates to not having any food or water between the hours of 4:30 and 8:30 in the evening, which is around 16 hours. But on top of all of that, I'll be revising for some of the biggest surgical exams I'll sit in my life. I'm revising for the second part of my Royal College of Surgeons certification, which will announce me as a Mr. and a proper surgeon, finally. A lot of you have been messaging me, worrying about the month of Ramadan, asking me how I'm going to be studying and revising. And then some of you have actually even clocked that I'll be studying, revising and working a 50-hour work week and probably making YouTube videos as well, and have asked me how I'm feeling about all of this. So the first thing I want to say is that I'm super reassured and actually quite blessed by the fact that it's Ramadan. I've had a vast experience of revising and working during Ramadan. I've worked for the past 3 Ramadans and I've had absolutely no problems at all, and these were much longer months, the longest of which I was fasting around 19 hours a day and had absolutely no problems at work. So my reassurance is, if you're working during the month of Ramadan, just make sure you're hydrated. The second part is that I sat my 3rd, my 4th and my 5th year medical examinations during the month of Ramadan, or had my revision periods during that month. And from my experience, I did exceptionally well in these exams and managed to secure a competitive London Foundation job. My best ever year was actually in my 4th year medical school, where my revision period and my exams, including a 5-hour written exam and a 3-hour practical OSCE, where I was speaking for 3 hours. And in that year, I ranked in the top 5%. So if you're worried about it, take it from me, be reassured. This month should have no bearing or no impact in your revision ability if you do things properly. And we're going to talk about how you do things properly in the rest of this video, so be sure to stick around. So now that the reassurances are out the way, I'm going to give you a quick overview for those that can't watch the entire video. Essentially, there are 3 factors that we're going to address in this video. The first of which is actually to do with reflection. So you need to be able to understand your current situation, how prepared you are for your exam, what type of exam you're going to be sitting. Is it a practical exam? Is it a written exam? Because your approach might be slightly different to each. And lastly, you need to understand and reflect on how you are with your study skills. Do you study best in the mornings, in the evenings? And you need to adjust your schedule based on this. The second factor is to do with actually making these adjustments and listening to your body and allowing those fluctuations to happen. It's obviously going to be a month of transition as you go from eating to not eating, and you need to listen to your body throughout this time. The third section of this video is going to address food and drink, and the ultimate message is that fluids are king. Make sure that you have plenty of fluids throughout the time that you're not fasting. And secondly, don't overeat and have a balanced diet. That's literally it. So for the rest of the video, we're going to examine these 3 factors in detail before actually looking at my schedule and seeing how I apply it to my day working as a core surgical trainee in London. So without further ado, let's get on with section number 1. So this is about reflection. During this month, your time is so precious because you have other commitments from a spiritual perspective, from a praying perspective, reading Quran perspective, but also the fact that you're waking up at sunrise and interrupting your sleep cycle. So from that perspective, it's truly important that you understand your revision habits and your revision style. So for me, I always start the month by actually looking at where I am with regards to my exam. How far am I from being completely prepared for my exam? And for me, I'm not very prepared at all. So I'm still at the start where I'm reading around the subject and I still haven't committed much to memory. And that's really important that you recognize quite early on, and we'll get to why in a second. The second thing is recognizing what type of exam you're going to be doing. So I'll be sitting a practical exam and a written exam. So there'll be components where I'll be speaking to a patient and displaying communication skills as well as academic knowledge, and there'll also be a written aspect which literally just will examine how well I know the subject. And learning for those two sections is completely different. And the third part is actually understanding what type of learner you are. So I know that my brain is just more in tune in the mornings, and I can do analytical tasks and understand difficult concepts way better in the mornings. And this is amplified during the month of Ramadan, where in the mornings you've just had food, you've just had fluids, so you're hydrated and you've got good energy stores, so your concentration might even be better. So with this information in check, the fact that I've still got a lot of learning to do, the fact that I've got both written and practical components, and the fact that I know that I study best in the mornings, I can plan my day and adjust my schedule accordingly. So what I would do then is actually leave the learning for my time after suhoor. So after I have my morning meal, that's when I'll do part of my revision where I'm learning. And then later on during the day, or perhaps after work where I'm fatigued, I'm feeling dehydrated, I'm feeling a bit weak, I will leave the easy task of actually going over things that I already know, or going through things that I'm comfortable with, or perhaps doing practice sessions of the practical communication skills with my friends. That's what I'd do in that situation. And I think it's so key to understand what you're like as a person and what you're like as a learner, as well as understanding what your exam requires before you set out during the month of Ramadan. The second section that we need to deal with is actually understanding that this month is a month of transition. Your body needs to go from having constant access to water, to sugar, wherever it needs. Your brain exclusively relies on sugar for its metabolism. So your brain needs to be able to know that it needs to function without as much sugar as it always does. And that period of transition usually means in the first few days I'll be lethargic, I'll be tired. And it's very important to understand that your body's going through a transition. You should not be hard on yourself. And in fact, you should listen to your body. In the first few days, I took it very easy from a revision perspective and from a work perspective. If I felt that I was fatigued, I would recognize that quite quickly and take a nap, or I would pause and not do any more revision, because there's no point stressing over it and tiring your body even more than it already is. So it's super important that you listen to your body, especially in the first few days of Ramadan as you're transitioning through that period. After this transition period, you'll feel a lot better and a lot more secure in yourself, because you'll have understood how your body will react to the fasting period. And if you believe that you can revise, and if your intentions are correct, you will be able to revise. And it's actually important to say at this point that throughout my surgical training, so many of my non-Muslim colleagues will fast during their operating list, just because they feel that their decision making and their ability to think is just so much clearer when they don't have this spike of sugar and then this drop of sugar throughout the day as you fluctuate the things you eat. So be reassured that your body will function without food or water during daylight hours. At least anecdotally, it will function. As the month progresses, you will be quick to recognize when your body can't take any more information in, or when your body needs a nap to refresh itself, or when actually you just need to take the rest of the day off. And don't be afraid to just take the rest of the day off and let your body catch up. Because there's a huge amount of stress on it, and you can utilize that time to pray or read Quran or do whatever else you need to do in that month, or just chill with your loved ones and family. The third section that we need to deal with is related to your food and drink. Now, the most important thing, if you don't take anything else from this video, is to make sure that you're drinking plenty of water. Now, during the month of Ramadan, I will consistently drink 2 to 2.5 litres of water a day, and I usually will aim to drink around a litre during the 2 hours after iftar, and then around a litre or so with my suhoor, and then I'll drink a cup of tea or a Coke or a few juices or something of that sort to try boost it to 2.5 litres. And it's the number one thing that's helped me through the entire month of Ramadan and fasting, is to make sure that you're hydrated, because that's the one thing where you will truly feel it if you omit water. Now, the second thing that we need to deal with is food. Now, everyone has different caloric requirements based on their age, their weight, their activity levels and whatnot. So for someone like me, I need around 2,500 to 2,700 calories a day to maintain my body weight. And during the month of Ramadan, I'll probably take in around 2,200, 2,300 calories. So I'll be in a calorie deficit of around a few hundred calories for the entire month. And I found that actually doesn't reduce my body weight that significantly. I'll probably lose half a kilogram or a kilogram by the end of the month, which is absolutely fine. But what I really noticed is that if I undereat by a small amount, I'm a lot more focused and I'm less likely to develop a food coma where my circulation all gets thrown towards my digestive system and none is left in my brain. So I'll aim around 800 or so calories in the morning meal, and then around 1,200 calories for the evening meal, and then a few snacks as I head towards bed. And in that way, I'm able to maintain my body weight and also not overeat. So I suggest that everyone actually works out how many calories they need to maintain their weight, then make an informed decision about how much you want to eat, and make an informed decision about your calorie deficit if that's what you'd like to go for. So absolutely don't overeat after your meals. You'll feel crap. So what does this actually translate to? How can you use the information I've given you to help you study? So looking at me, for example, my study day will depend on the type of shift that I'm doing. Am I doing a simple day shift where I'm in theatres? Am I on call? Or is this a day off? So let's start off with a simple day shift where I'm on the wards. Now my work day is between 8 o'clock and 6 p.m. So, it's a 10-hour day. I'm on my feet all day. I'm going to be quite tired. So I try to wake up after suhoor. So let's say suhoor is at 4 o'clock. I will then eat till 4:30, and then between 4:30 and 6:30, I will do the bulk of my learning. So this is when I do the very nitty-gritty, difficult concepts. I'm reading about otology, the vestibular system. I'm learning the inner ear anatomy. I'm learning about audiograms and brand new skills that I might not be well rehearsed in, before taking a quick nap between 6:30 and 7 o'clock before my day shift to make sure that I'm refreshed for the day. Then between 7 and 8, I'm commuting. 8 to 6, I'm in theatres, I'm on the ward, I'm helping look after patients all day. And then between 6 and 6:30, I'm commuting back. And as soon as I get home, usually I'll take another nap between 6:30 and 7 to try feel a bit more refreshed. Then between 7 and 8 o'clock, usually I'll do an hour of active recall. So this is going over material that I know quite well, or going through questions or past paper scenarios, or anything which doesn't require too much focus. And after this, I'll break my fast and then probably just chill out, relax, watch some TV, read some Quran, chat to my friends, chat to my family. And then before going to bed between 9 and 9:30, I will again go through some concepts, probably the same concepts I went through in the morning, and just make sure that I understand them. And then I'd go to bed around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then again ready to wake up for 4 o'clock. So that's a general work day. Now when I'm on call, I'm on call from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So today I was on call, so I actually finished work maybe 2 hours ago. It's currently 11 p.m. And the opportunity to revise is actually minimal, so I just don't stress. When I was heading into work, I was going through some questions, but for the most part I did absolutely nothing today, and I'm not going to stress over it because my body's been through enough from doing a 13-hour shift. And finally, that brings us to our days off, and this is when I know I need to be most productive. So before my exam, I've got 13 full days off, which is 13 times 10, probably 130 hours worth of revision, and I need to make every second count. So usually what would happen is, again, I'd wake up at 4 o'clock, 4 to 4:30, I'll be opening my fast. Then between 4:30 and 9:30, those 5 hours are crucial for making sure that I can digest as much new information as possible. Again, doing the difficult anatomy, the difficult concepts, the physiology, anything that needs a lot of concentration, I'll be doing that in the 5-hour stretch. And then between 9:30 and 10:30, I'll probably sleep for an hour. And then again, 10:30 to around 1 o'clock, I'll wake up again and then try to do as much revision as I can, being very astute and understanding when I need to take a break. And I will definitely go for a walk outside, get some fresh air, maybe call a few friends, maybe if I'm feeling up for it, go for some light exercise, maybe a bike ride or a light jog. And then I'll come back, and at this point I'm hitting the wall. It's 1 o'clock, it's 2 o'clock, I've been up for for 8-9 hours, so I don't try to stress too much. So this is when I start preparing for the practical exam, and I will practice clinical scenarios with people, or I'll be going through past paper questions, and again taking regular naps or breaks whenever I need them. And then usually I'll call it a day by 5 o'clock, and then between 5 and 8 I will practice on the spiritual side of the month, or I will just take it easy and completely relax. And then I'll break my fast at 8 o'clock, and then usually I don't do anything in the evening and I just sleep, and then again I wake up at 4 o'clock. So I hope that's been useful. I really hope that you make use of this month. Do not fret, you will smash your exams, and if you have the right intention you will absolutely do fine, I have no doubt. And please make dua for me. I've got a big exam and I'm revising hard, but I'm also working quite hard and making YouTube videos, and it's long, but yeah, please do make dua for me, and I shall see you next week.